reading vlog, and this is part of a vlog series that I am doing for this year. I'm doing a couple of vlog series, but this is the first one that I'm doing currently. And you're probably wondering, what is this series, Amy? Well, I am doing the little Bookstagram challenge. I think it started and now it's sort of gone pretty much everywhere, but I'm doing the 12 book recs from 12 friends in 12 months. Whether there is a shorter title for this, I have no idea, but that's how I sort of can explain it to you. It's very self-explanatory, I think. So basically, you get some book recommendations from some friends and you read them in 12 months. So it's one book for each month, and yeah, and you basically read people's recommendations and see whether you love it too. And yeah, I saw this on Bookstagram and I was like, shall I? And I decided yes, I wanted to do it because I wanted to do a vlog series on it on my channel. So I asked on Bookstagram, I put a story post up saying, I'm doing this, give me some recommendations please. So I had a few on there. A couple of them were from my lovely Bookstagram friend Lucy, and she pretty much gave me a lot of books that I know were from like Fairy Loot that she read. But I'm not going to include them purely because I'm actually doing a Fairy Loot series myself where I read each book that I got from last year's Fairy Loot all from the year. I want to read that this year and like each month and vlog it. So the books that she recommended are actually going to go on that vlog, so I didn't want to do it on 2 vlogs because it would just be a bit silly. So thank you Lucy for those recommendations, but you will see them in a completely different vlog. So I kind of like scratched those ones, but I've got a few other ones. I asked on my book club Discord group, so I got a couple from there, and I also asked on other Discord groups, mainly like the Patreon ones, and got a good list there. Now, here's the thing. I wanted to try and do these book recommendations that I own, just purely because I want to try and read the massive physical TBR that I have on my shelves that I have not counted to see how many books I own. I'm sure I'm definitely, I would say about 200. I think I had probably about 600, but I did do a massive unhaul. So I feel like I might be on 200, between 200 and 300. I don't think I have as many as I did. But I wanted to try and read the books that I own, just so I can get rid of some if like I won't read again, and just give me more space, shelf space, purely so I can buy more books. But there are a few that I do own, and then there are a few that I sort of are thinking about having anyway. So whether I get it on Kindle or get it from the library, and there's other books that really do sound really good, but I don't own. So I haven't currently thought out each book for each month yet. I've only actually decided which book I was going to read for this month, but there will be a actual like TBR for list. There will be a video up once I sort my life out and decided which books for which. So that probably be well, I'm going to try and sort it out soon, so it might come up before this one. I'd like to do it before this one, or not, or I might do it afterwards. I think I might do it afterwards because then this is a surprise to you until you see this video. Anyway, whichever way I do it, you will eventually see the TBR for this. But yeah, so I'm starting this vlog and I only have 3 days of January left. I wanted to do this vlog not last weekend but the weekend before, but COVID hit and I was like, oh. So I did start vlogging it while COVID hit, and I thought I'll do like a COVID / this vlog. But I was coughing my guts up, I was really struggling, I wasn't feeling brilliant, and as much as I did start this book, which I'll get to in a minute, I just wasn't in the great brain space to fully understand the story. So I was like, oh, do you know what, I'll do this the last weekend, hopefully, if everything's okay. So Alice is currently at her dad's, so I'm filming this weekend. I'm doing Sunday, no, we're on Saturday and Sunday, because Monday I do have 2 more books that I need to read, which I'm going to binge read on Monday. So I want to try and read and finish this book this weekend. But I have got plans that don't involve reading as well. I'm going to my grandparents later today, and yeah, so I'm going to try and do some reading, but it might be that the reading will happen today at night and just read and read and read. But I'm also setting myself sprints, my own sprints, on my phone. I think there's some sprints tonight actually with Sydney. I think that's at 4 o'clock. So I'm going to use those sprints, but I'm also going to do sprints myself, because I learn when I do sprints, I read loads and I don't get distracted. I don't go on anything to distract me. So I found that if I do my own sprints on my little stopwatch thing, it stops me from reaching my phone. My tablet tends to be on charge away, so it stops me from going on that. And I do feel like with that, I don't get distracted, so I read. So I'm going to do that this weekend. I'm going to really stop myself getting distracted on my phone and everything. Like, screen time is going to be very limited to see if I can smash this book out. And the book I am reading for this first month, for this first vlog in the series, is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Now, I can't remember who recommended me this book. I know all the other books that got recommended because I screenshotted everything, but I didn't for this. So whoever recommended me this, thank you. So like I said, I have started reading this. I'm on chapter 8, page 86. And from what I read, I really was enjoying it. For me, I just sort of was like, where's the fantasy? And back when I started reading this, I was like, well, where is the fantasy? I don't get it. Why is this classed as a fantasy book? But actually, I think a lot of people are saying this is quite low fantasy, and it's sort of got like a mystery element, it's got a bit of sci-fi element, and it's not a Romeo and Juliet romance that everyone believed it is. There is a little bit of romance in here, and I think in the second book, I think there is more of a romance, but this isn't a Romeo and Juliet retelling in regards to romance. It is a retelling, but it's to do with the two different gangs, and they're sort of working together because there's been a contagion which is starting to like pretty much make people kill themselves. And on top of that, there's like a monster lurking in the shadows. So basically what I've got up to is I've met Juliet Kai, who is the heir of the Scarlet Gang, and their gang's pretty much a network of criminals far above the law. So they are like their own law enforcement, basically. And then we have Roma Montagov, who is the prodigal son, the White Flowers, and they pretty much have been fighting the Scarlets for generations, and Juliet is his first love and first betrayal. So we sort of met both of them. We sort of seen the very awkwardness between them. Juliet sort of does not want to see him, doesn't want anything to do with him, whereas Roma, I feel like he's still in love with her, but also he knows it's a no-no. There is like a sort of a forbiddenness there, like they're both rival gangs, and they shouldn't be together, blah blah blah. Something obviously happened. I don't know what the betrayal was, but something happened to make them obviously break up. I think as you get into the book, we'll probably find out what that is. But I do know that they sort of start working together purely to find a contagion and all that. So I think they sort of work together, but they're also scheming behind one another as well. But I think how I'm sort of portraying it is while they work together, that maybe those feelings sort of reappear. I'm not sure. I haven't read enough to determine that. I'm enjoying it. But like I said, I kind of went into this thinking there was going to be fantasy, and at the moment I'm not getting any fantasy. So I kind of feel like this is more of a low fantasy book compared to other fantasies I read. But I'm really liking the mystery element of this. Like, we found out there's this contagion. We found out there's this bugs that have been around where these people have been have killed themselves. Like, something is driving them crazy to make them kill themselves. Like, one man scratched his throat out, all of that kind of thing. So it's like, why? And so Roma found some bugs, and so he sent it to this scientist who supposedly people think is making people better and blah blah blah, but actually this scientist is making opioids for them to get. So he's pretty much making drugs and selling it up in Shanghai. So we're also in the year 1926, so it's like a historical book, but it doesn't feel like it, if I'm going to be completely honest. But basically the scientists found these bugs were not man-made, so they weren't God-made. They weren't God-made, but in fact someone had made them to be like that. So it's obviously clear that like some human has made these bugs into a weapon, possibly. But also along the way there seems to be like a monster lurking in the shadows. So are the two involved together or not? So basically Juliet and Roma are teamed up to try and find out, and basically I think they're sort of finding out, but they're like scheming behind each other to like and getting one up from one another. But basically what I have learned is Juliet is very quite happy to run the Scarlet Gang. She's pretty much a badass. She doesn't mind killing people and all that, whereas Roma doesn't want to be in the White Flowers. Roma actually does not want to. He just wants to live his life and all of that. You know, I think he's quite happy that if he wasn't in the gang, he could be with Juliet. However, if he quit and left the White Flowers, he basically wouldn't have any protection, and more than likely the Scarlet Gang would probably like attack him just to peeve off the boss of the White Flowers, which is obviously Roma's father. So it's clear that Roma doesn't want to be in the White Flowers, but for protection and everything he has to. So I quite like Roma at the moment. I really like Roma. He's the character I'm sort of more drawn to, as in Juliet I don't think has a heart at this particular moment. But yeah, I am enjoying it. It was the wrong book for me to pick up while I was feeling rough with COVID, and I just wanted something that was a bit more fantasy and a bit more I could get out of my head, and it was just like an easy quick read for me, as in I know this will take me longer. So this is the first book to kick off the 12 book recs by 12 friends in 12 months. So this is the first book. I'm wanting to finish it for like, you know, Sunday, so literally 12 a.m, which will be like Monday early morning. That's when I want to finish, you know, so I literally just have this weekend to read. So I am going to read a little bit now and then probably grab some lunch, and I think afterwards we'll be going to my nan's, and then once we're back, depending what time that is, I will jump on to Sid's Patreon sprints and read more, and hopefully bash this out quite quickly, because I do have other books that I need to read. So yeah, like if I can read this by today, then that would be brilliant, but we'll see. But yeah, this is the plan, and I'm very excited to see how this plays out, because I am very curious, and I can probably then tell you whether there is some fantasy elements in this or not. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So I hope you enjoy this first vlog in a series, and yeah, let's get on to reading. So I haven't updated you since this morning when I actually opened up this vlog, and that is purely because I haven't actually done much. I know, like this is the reading vlog, and I hadn't done overly much. That's because when I went to go and actually settle down and read, my mum wanted to clean out our piggy's cage, so we had to get the piggies out, so we popped them for a free roam in the lounge. So I ended up just chilling with them and chatting with them and just giving them treats and little things like that, and you know, I got distracted, and then we had to quickly give them huggles and sort them out, because they're boy piggies, and boy piggies need to get their bits and bobs cleaned because they can't do it themselves. So we did that because we've had them for a month now. We actually got them on the 29th of December, so yeah, it's a month today. And we just noticed that some of their fur was a little bit stuck, so we had a good clean, and I consider they didn't particularly like it, specifically Twiglet. He was like really not keen, but the others actually were like, oh, do you know what, this feels good. But while we did that, we also had little sneaky cuddles with them. And then we were all rushing because literally it was like 20 to 2. Me and my mum still hadn't had anything to eat lunch-wise, and we were meant to be going to my grandparents' house at 2. So my mum messaged to say we were running a little bit late because we were sorting out the piggies. And so we quickly grabbed some lunch and then shot out. I did do a little bit reading. I read a chapter beforehand. I read another chapter in the car, and then I read 2 chapters going home because we wanted to quickly pop to the garden centre on our way through, like to go back to where we live, because they have in a garden centre like a massive pet section, and like you can even buy pets there. So we wanted to see what guinea pig stuff they had there, because we are due to get some more grids for the cage to just make it an extra bit bigger, and my mum wanted to just put some new stuff in there. But literally we walked in and I said to my mum, look, the pet centre's closed because they were refurbishing. And she's like, oh, we'll just double check. And I was like, okay, but like there was a sign saying it was closed till the 31st. But my dad apparently wanted to go in anyway to go to the like farm shop section to see what bundles they had meat wise. So he went there while we went to see whether the pet centre was open or not. It wasn't. I was right, but you know, my mum had to double check. And then we went to the farm bit to meet my dad, and all of the like meat that he would have got was all sold out, and there was like some deals done so we could see why it was sold out. So we went to the garden centre for no blimmin' reason. So that like took like an extra bit of my time in reading. But whatever, I quickly got home. I knew there was Patreon sprints on because they were 11 a.m. Sid's time, but it was 4 p.m. my time, so we got in just after 5. So I jumped onto them, and they were literally 5 minutes into the end of their sprint, so I just quickly caught up with all of the conversations that other people were having, and then I joined in with the next sprint. So the next sprint was like an hour long, so I did some reading then, and then I just joined in the other sprint. But I've had to stop because I've got a honker of a headache, and the lighting downstairs in the lounge is quite dark. It's just not as bright as my light. It's quite dim, and like because I was getting a bit of a headache, I was also squinting a bit because the light where like our lounge light is not really like, it's in like a stupid place. So like one section of the lounge has more light than the other section, and the section that I sit in is the section where not the whole lot, it's you don't get as much light. So I ended up calling it quits just because my head is hurting anyway. I'm tired. I don't know why I'm tired, but I'm tired. And I was just like, I might just take a little breather, watch some telly, and take some brufen as well, just to help. And then hopefully when I go to bed I can read a little bit more, but we'll see. I might just have to have an early night and read like a chunk tomorrow. But I am on chapter 18, page 203. I think, yes. Am I? No, I am literally probably a chapter, maybe 2 off from the halfway point. So I might actually just read 2 more chapters before I go to sleep, just so I'm at the halfway point, and then I can read the next half tomorrow. I am enjoying the book, but I am finding it slow. Like there is quite a bit of actions going on, and obviously this talks of this monster now as well, which I think are the monster and this like insect infestation thing is all interlinked together. Like I am enjoying it. I certainly am not finding it a 5-star vibe, and I'm not too sure whether I'm at the 4-star vibe yet. I think I'm 3.5 possibly. I am enjoying it. I still like Roma. Like, he honestly has a heart for gold considering he's the White Flowers and the heir of that gang. It's just, I really feel like he does care about everyone, not just his gang. And I also feel like what's gone on, like I feel like his dad's just an asshole and he knows he's an asshole. I don't know, I just feel more drawn to Aroma. I quite care more about his character, and when we have his POV I quite enjoy that more to Juliet. But however, Juliet is starting to warm up to me now. Like, I think basically, I think Roma and Juliet sort of became friends, and I think around 15, 16, that friendship turned into more. I don't know how in depth that relationship got, like whether it was just like, was it sexual or not, hasn't really been mentioned, but something happened, and basically an attack happened at Juliet's house, and from what is being said, it was the maid and like helps sector, because they knew for well if they actually attacked the main home of um the Scarlet Gang, it would just rage like rage a almighty war between them, like, you know, and it would have been like the White Flower started it, so the Scarlet Gang could certainly retaliate. So from what I gathered, there was an attack from the White Flowers, and they attacked like the servant maid corner, and Juliet was looked after by a specific maid who she had quite a relationship. She pretty much was near enough like a mother figure to her compared to what her actual parents were, and that maid died. So yeah, I don't know whether it, like, so she obviously blames Roma because he's part of the White Flowers and all that, but I think something possibly happened with the White Flowers, that the Scarlet Gang did something to the White Flowers. Like, I don't know what, nothing's been said, but it's clear that Roma doesn't really have much trust in Juliet either, but it is very clear that the pair of them still have got some feelings for one another. Like, you know, he has been staring at her a lot, and not on a like keeping an eye on her on like doing an attack. It's like staring at her as in he can't help it. And like when they're quite close and all that, she sort of still like has like her heart is betraying her head basically. So it is clear that there's probably still some feelings there. It's very clear that they've got trust issues. Obviously something's happened in both parties and they blame each other, whether they actually have done something or it's just, you know, because they're part of the gang they have to be enemies and all that. I'm not too sure. But in regards to like what's going on with the story, it's officially being told that there is like, I'm going to say that is like a contagion, there's a pandemic sort of thing, and basically there's these insects that are bearing, they're sort of like they're insects but they're acting like lice, and so they start in your hair, and that's how it sort of contagious everyone, because the slightest touch of your hair or head touching and all that, they jump from each host to another, and basically these insects go on your head and then they bury into your brain and pretty much demolish your brain, and but the people who's been attacked can feel like there's something like in their skin and all that, which is why they are scratching their throats out, because they're trying to get it out. So it's been clear that, like, you know, there's this going on, and one of the scientists in the White Flower Gang, I think it's Lorraine. I don't know how to pronounce it. Lorraine or something. I don't know, but he thinks if they can get a live victim, he can trial some tests and hopefully get a cure or something to kill these insects off before they do damage to the rest of us. But like of them. But basically, everyone's getting attacked, including the White Flowers and Scarlet Gang, and so it's now come to the fact that the White Flowers want to try and do a truce with the Scarlet Gang for the time being, to try and find a way to get rid of this contagion, because at the moment, if it carries on, there's going to be none of them left, and it's going to be a sense that people from other worlds are going to like demolish the whole place, and then they're going to take over and be hierarchy, and it pretty much means that neither gang will ever rule the place and blah blah blah. So they're sort of like trying to call a truce and sort that out. However, neither are very wanting to help, whereas Juliet and Roma are sort of like putting problems aside and like, no, we need to sort something out, or there's going to be none of us here to even, you know, try and hold the state. So they went and had this meeting, and it went completely up to pot. The Scarlet Gang, Tyler, who's like a hot-headed twat, can't stand him. He's Juliet's cousin, I think. I don't think it's a sibling directly, like brother. I'm not 100% sure, but he's an utter dickhead. I don't like him. I don't mind him getting contagious and him ripping his own throat out, because I'm not keen on him. But anyway, basically he got really angsty and then pulled a gun out at the White Flowers, and the White Flowers did the same, and then a whole big like fight scene went. And then Alyssa, which is Roma's little sister, she before all this happened, she found a member of the White Flowers in like a dustbin thing, and he literally was still alive, but he had ripped his throat out and everything, and she was trying to help him because she's probably one of the only people in the gangs, in both gangs, who just cares about everyone. So she was obviously trying to help him. She went up close to see if he was still breathing, and obviously she's gone up close, so it was very clear that more than likely she has got the insect. And then she went to go to this meeting, like the whole of the White Flowers had to be there, including her, even though she's still a young child. And she started feeling really itchy and hot, and I was like, oh god, has she? And then all of a sudden you hear her scream, and she's there thrashing out, trying to scratch her throat and claw at it. So they Roma managed to pin her hands down, but she's like really thrashing out and all that. The rest of the people, White Flowers and Scarlet Gang, just stood there doing nothing, arguing, not even noticing that she's there thrashing. And Roma screamed, saying, "Don't just stand there, help!" And then people started action. And basically, Roma's two like friends who were also part of like his sort of gang, which is Marshall and Benedict. They basically managed to hold her down before she did any damage, and Marshall sort of put pressure on her throat to make her pass out, and they literally just took her to the nearest hospital, and they just got to this hospital, and again, like, she's starting to thrash out and all that, so these people in the hospital have put her in a coma, but they're like, we're going to have to wait for a cure. So that's how I've ended at the moment, but I think they more than likely are going to take her to the scientist, because she's still classed as a live subject, and I think he's probably going to start using her as a test and a trial run to hopefully make her better and then make everyone else better. So yeah, like, it's gotten very intense now, and like, it's very clear that this monster is real. People have seen it, and it's very clear that this monster, these insects, are going to. So it's very interlinked, but it's sort of, is this someone doing this? Is someone doing all of this, like, leashed out a monster, leashed out these insects, or whether is this, like, you know, not like from a person, but it's just like a fantasy side of things. I feel like this is very much a sci-fi than a fantasy. Like, it's given me more sci-fi vibes just by the fact that, I don't know, it's like an insect, it's like a man-made, like, biological thing. I don't know, but that's like the vibe I'm getting. But I am enjoying it, but it is quite slow. There's bits where I'm thinking, do we really need that? It is very political in regards with, like, the gangs or each other, and like, they all basically want to rule Shanghai, and it's just like, why don't you just rule it together? But you know, a lot of people are power hungry. So I've left it there. I think it's now going to pick up a lot more, and I feel like Roma and Juliet are going to team up and try and sort things out. So we'll see. But I am now going to go and just chill, because my head is pounding. I'm going to take some tablets and going to grab my snacks, my chocolate snacks that are in my cupboard, and then I think me and my mum are going to watch a new TV series called Trigger Point, which is very much like Line of Duty, and I think it's by the same people as Line of Duty, or it's the actors from Line of Duty in it. I'm not 100% which one, but we're going to go and watch that, and depending on how my head is, if it sorts itself out, I'll read until I get the halfway point, and then tomorrow I'll finish the book then. But yeah, if I don't, I will definitely update you tomorrow with where I got, how I'm getting on, what the plan is. But from now, I will see you later. So, you know, in Romeo and Juliet, the Shakespeare, and also like the movies, you know, we have Romeo who goes up onto the balcony, and it's like, Juliet, where are thou, Juliet? So they actually have a balcony scene, not obviously the same as that, but there's like a thumping, like rhythmic, like thumping sound on the like window. So she opens her glass doors of her second floor balcony, and Juliet clambered to her feet and stormed toward the sound, opening the curtains with more force than necessary. As the fabric settled, she found a familiar figure seated casually on the railing of her balcony, his legs swinging and his body backlit by the glow of the crescent moon. She swallowed hard. "Really?" Juliet demanded through the glass door. "You climbed my house. You couldn't have simply thrown a few pebbles." And Roma goes, "You don't have any pebbles." So it's not obviously the same, but they have put the balcony scene in here, and I'm very excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is the most excited I've got in this book. I'm just gonna read this last chapter and I'm gonna head to bed because I am tired, but it does make me hit halfway, so I'm quite glad that's happened. But yeah, so glad there's a balcony scene and that actually is in it, because I'm like, yay! Hello. I finished it. So just to update you, I reached the halfway point last night, which I cannot fathom where it was. Yeah, okay, so I got to chapter 20 last night, so I had that. I basically just read all morning, so I got up just after 9 or just before 9. I think it was just after 9 actually, and I was gonna like get properly ready, and I thought, actually, you know what, I can't be asked, so hence that I haven't bothered. And then I just read. I thought, well, if I just read in my room. My dad was busy, my mum was busy, so I thought I'll just read in my room, and it meant I had no distractions and I could finish it, and I did, and I'm very happy I did, because I honestly thought it wasn't going to happen. So basically it left you in, I told you that we had the balcony scene, and basically Roma said that he needed a help, just like he knew it was all going against everything, but they needed to work together. He knew there's no way he could go into Scarlet territory, she couldn't go into the White Flower territory. They needed to work together to go in both to try and stop this madness. And so she agreed, because as much as she doesn't want to, because she's really hurt and doesn't believe everything Roma says, because she feels like Roma broke her heart, sort of thing, but she reluctantly agrees, because she knows that it isn't fair in Alyssa. Alyssa has nothing to do with everything. She's just a young child got in the middle of the wrong kind of thing, and she also believes the whole of Shanghai dropping like flies, like no one deserves this. So she reluctantly agrees, and so they both uncover, like tell each other everything they know, and so their lead, like their main lead, is to find this man, and it's like, oh my god, where is his name? Why is it when I need to know what it is, I can't remember? I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it's Hang Gutai. They're looking for him because they believe he has something to do with things. People even saying that he is the monster himself. So they go into all these leads. I won't go into full like spoilery bits with what these leads are, but what I will go into is Juliet and Roma, because you know full well that I was really more liking Roma than Juliet. I felt like Juliet had no heart, but her character was growing on me. I now understand why Juliet she has heart, but she won't let anyone in, because every time she's let anyone in, someone dies or she gets hurt and blah blah blah. So I can understand, and I'm like, all right, do you know what? It makes sense. And basically the reason why she sort of shut out Roma and doesn't believe anything is because the White Flowers attacked like one section of the Scarlet Gang's house, which is where all the maids and the servants were, and one of the maids there was the maid that cared for Juliet and was pretty much more like a mother than her own mother was, and she watched her die, and there was a White Flower place, so she knew it was attack, and it was one of those things where she sort of took it as an attack from Roma, because Roma was the only person who like knew the ins and out of the Scarlet House and knew how close Juliet was with the maid and all of that. But then we've come to a complete reverse, because it's clear that Juliet retaliated and told her parents a sort of thing that she heard about, where Lord Montague had put his wife, because she basically Roma's mum was unwell, and they said that she died from an illness, but it turned out that a member of a Scarlet Gang slit her throat. So it's clear that Juliet didn't do the killing, but she said where Roma's mum was, and the same as it come clear on why Roma did what he did. So he didn't do the killing himself, but he said what to do. But it was a very like, that all came out and I was like, oh god, like how are, like I can see why neither of them trust, but it wasn't that, because as they were learning these things, and then at one point they had to pretend that they were like not lovers, but that like Juliet was a prostitute, look, pleasuring this man, but they both had stuff to drink, but like to get these answers from this bloke. Basically, they weren't drunk enough that they weren't drunk enough where they could blame the booze. It wasn't that. It was more they were drunk to the point that they could actually say how they felt, and it's very clear that they both still love each other, but neither of them really. So for Juliet, she doesn't trust him. She feels like Roma's showing her, like 1 minute he's showing her how to love him, the next minute it's like it's showing how much she should hate him, and she's sort of like not sure whether like who Roma is. She can't determine who Roma is, whereas Roma is really trying his hardest not to show he loves her and cares for her, and trying to get her to push her away, because this is a little bit of a spoilery, so if you haven't read it and you want to, don't. But basically it turns out that Roma's dad, Lord Montague, found out that Roma was in a relationship with Juliet. They were only 15. It wasn't a relationship. So they were in love with each other, but it wasn't sex or anything. From what I gathered, it was a very young, fallen in love, but like not gotten extremely far. And a little moment at the at this like hotel thing, like they kissed and they were very close to doing more, but Juliet sort of sort of remembered the past and was like no and clammed up and all that. But basically, once they actually Juliet got really, really angry because she started to have all those feelings again, and she started to be back and forward of thinking like, can she trust him or not, and blah blah blah. So she ended up just walking straight into the white territory, which was a really bad thing for her because she shouldn't have. Lucky enough, Roma found her, and Roma like dragged her to an alleyway so no one could like hurt her or anything. And basically, she demanded the truth. She wanted to know, you know, what happened. And she knew that what happened to Thing was from him and his father, and maybe he didn't directly do it, but he said something, and she wanted to know why. And he goes, "You sure you want to know? Because you know this, it puts her in danger, not just him." And she was just like, "We're far from that now." Basically, Roma's father, Lord Montague, who is not a nice man, and it's come clear why. So Roma doesn't want to be in the White Flowers, but he knows if he isn't, he would be killed and all that. So basically, he's there. But he doesn't want to be, and his dad cannot stand him. He pretty much gets his heir, which you know, he's his only son, so he's the heir. He should get all of stuff, but he's pretty much getting him to do all the stupid stuff, whereas this cousin Dimitri is actually the one doing the heir role. But basically, his father found out that he was with Juliet, and he told her to kill her. He said, if you are part of the White Flowers and you haven't betrayed her, you have to kill her. And he said, I'd rather kill myself than do it and do that. And his father said, then I'll kill you for you. And so, but he knew full well that his father would do that, and then his father would go and kill Juliet, and he would make it look like they both sort of attacked each other to make a massive big blood feud. So he ended up saying, I can do one better. They said, you want me to hurt her, like kill her? And they said, I can hurt her to the point, you know, blah, blah, blah. So he instead, so what he did what he did, he had no choice, but it was to protect her, because he couldn't live with himself that she would get killed, and then it'll be a blood feud and loads of people get killed just because they fell in love. So what he did, protect her. But she didn't know that, and she got so angry and everything, she retaliated. So she told her parents that she found out from a source, she didn't say who, but she found out from a source where Lord Montague's wife was, and so they did attack on her. And yeah, so Roma's just found that out, and there's this bit at the end, basically, Tyler finds out about Roma and Juliet. He's obviously seen that they're working together, but they're also lovers, because he caught them having a bit of a lover's embrace. And so Juliet and Roma sort of swapped roles. So Juliet's now done what Roma did, was so to protect him and not get him killed, and his friends that and Alyssa, who she was starting to like obviously feel friendship to, she protected him by pretending that she actually was just using him. She was getting intel off him and all that. It was thing, and so she apparently this blood feud is like a life for a life. So she then kills someone in Roma's White Flower gang to show to her cousin Tyler that she means business, and so they all walked free without like a full-on killing spree. And then it ended in a complete cliffhanger that I was expecting anyway, because obviously there is a second book. So at the moment it's ended where Roma and Juliet are now back to hating. Well, Roma's hating Juliet now because of what happened, but Juliet knows that she's actually protecting Roma. And yeah, so my actual thoughts about this, for me there was no fantasy in it. I don't understand why this is classed as fantasy. There was actually very little fantasy in this, in my opinion. I want to have it actually double look to see whether it is classed as a fantasy genre, because if so, where? I wouldn't even say it was low fantasy. For me there was nothing there. It was just about someone who made a monster, who had, basically the plot was there was this monster that was interlinked with these insects, but actually these insects were made this thing into a monster, and all that. I like the twist. I really like the fact that, you know, this is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but it's not focused on the romance or anything. It really is about gangs and trying to, yeah. It's not a 5-star. I don't think it's a 3-star where I was before, because it has picked up like that from halfway on right to the end. I was hooked. I couldn't put it down. I liked a little bit of romance there was, and I'm now like really invested in getting the other book to see whether that they finally do get to be together, because I just want to know, and I want to know how it all ends. Is it a 5-star? No. I think it's a 4-star, but more a low 4-star, because there are bits that was really slow. It was really slow paced. I kind of feel like where was the fantasy in this? For me, this felt more like a sci-fi, but not like, you know, in space and all that. Sci-fi more with like people making a bug that can cause people ripping out their throats and all that. It ended in a cliffhanger, but also ended in a way where you thought everything's okay, and then you get this cliffhanger and you're like, oh. So it's sort of like, well, how does this work? Because like what got explained is now over. So it's like, how does thing, like, do I want to pick the other book up? Yes, I do. I want to know what happens, and I definitely will. Do I want to pick it up straight to like get it, like buy it straight away and read it? No. Like I will happily pick it up. Like I don't think I want to own a book either. I think I'd probably pick it up from the library and read it just so I know what happens. Like I did enjoy it. You know, I really like Roma, and I do like Roma and his like friends, which is Marshall and Benedict. I really like them, and it is very clear that those two probably have they don't have a thing going on, but I kind of feel like they love each other but haven't admitted that they love each other. And also I really like Kathleen because she is transgender. She was a boy and she transgendered into a woman, and I just liked how, like, it wasn't like the rep of saying that, it was the rep of, you know, she made herself look so people wouldn't notice like all these things, and she like sort of got other people's like personalities and she walked them into her. It was just a really clever how Chloe Gong sort of did Kathleen's character, and I really want to read more of her because I'm very, very intrigued on how her character grows. Rosalind, which is obviously Juliet's cousin, I'm not keen on. Oh, both of them are cousin, but I'm not keen on Rosalind. She seems, I don't know, there's something about her that I'm not keen on. I just feel like I don't know. It's just something about her I'm not sure on, and we don't get much of her, and she seems to be sort of internally at war with Juliet, and it's just like, why? I feel like she resents Juliet because Juliet is a Kai, and so no matter what happens, you know, nothing will happen to her, whereas her cousins, because they are not a Kai, they might be family, but their actual like birth name is Lang, which means they're not a Kai, so, you know, bad things can happen to them. So I think she has that resentment. I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely want to pick the other book up and see how it ends because I'm very curious. Not a 5-star for me. I really do not know how this is classed as a fantasy because to me there was nothing fantasy about it. There was no magic or anything like that. But I did really like the fact that it was such a really interesting take on Romeo and Juliet, and it's a very well done. Like if I had to read this in school as my GCSE, I would have preferred this rather than actual Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet because I just genuinely thought that was such a morbid love story, and I was just like, Christ, this is just awful. So yeah, it's a 4-star. It's a low 4-star because, you know, there were bits I like, which was more from like chapter 20 to the end. The first half I was just like, I'm not keen on like any other people apart from Roma. It was very slow paced. I was just like, why do we need to know these bits and bobs? Which it was to me not even setting, like not doing a world building. It was just words trying to make the book longer in my opinion. But yeah, I'm glad I read it. It's not going to be my firm favourite of the year or anything. Do I recommend it? Yes. I would certainly say though I don't really think this is a fantasy book, but whatever. But yeah, I'm glad I gave it a shot, and I definitely want to pick up the other book just to see how it ends, and also I want to see whether the romance does happen or not. But yeah, I'm glad I did this. It's a good start on the book recommendations, and I'm glad I actually picked it up because I've been very much, I'm not sure I wanted to pick it up purely because some people loved it, some people hated it. I'm not in either. Like I don't love it, I don't hate it. Like I'm in the middle. Like I'm glad I read it. I did enjoy bits. Would I shout at the top of my lungs and say, everyone, you need to read this? No. But yeah, so that's the first month of the 12 months, 12 book recs by 12 friends done. And look into my February one, which I'm going to be filming my actual TBR for it because I am sorting out setting it all. So I have a set TBR rather than Una and I are thinking, oh, shall I read this, shall I read that? So I'll be doing that very soon, and then you will then know what I will be reading in February. Yeah, thank you for watching this little vlog. Let me know if you've read these Violent Delights and what your thoughts are, and let me know what your thoughts are in the second book, because if you think that the second book's better and that I would really enjoy it, I might pick it up sooner. But yeah, thank you for watching this vlog. I'll see you again soon. Bye!